Hello, dear learners. Welcome back to our channel, where English learning becomes an unforgettable adventure. Today, we begin the incredible life story of one of the greatest leaders in history, Nelson Mandela. This is not just a story. It's a journey of hope, courage, and determination. Listening to this story will help you improve your English vocabulary, pronunciation, and listening skills. But more than that, it will inspire you to dream big and never give up, no matter how hard life gets. So get ready for the most powerful and motivational story you've ever heard. Let's begin the journey of Nelson Mandela, the man who changed the world. Nelson Mandela was born on July 18, 1918, in a small village called Mvezo, in the Eastern Cape of South Africa. His birth name was Rolihlahla Mandela, which in the Xhosa language means pulling the branch of a tree. Some say it also means troublemaker, a name that later reflected his boldness in challenging injustice. He was born into the Thembu royal family, a tribe known for its rich history and culture. His father, Gadla Henry Mphakaniswa, was a respected chief and advisor to the Thembu king. Though his family was not rich, they were deeply respected. His mother, Nokafi Nosekeni, was a devout Christian who taught him the values of kindness, humility, and faith. Mandela's childhood was simple but joyful. He lived in a mud and straw hut, surrounded by open fields and rolling hills. There was no electricity, no running water, and no modern luxuries, but Mandela felt free and happy. As a young boy, he loved to run barefoot, herd cattle, and swim in nearby streams. He played traditional Xhosa games and listened to elders telling stories by the fire. These stories, about brave warriors and great leaders, kindled something inside Mandela. One day, his father told him, "A real leader is not someone who wants power for himself, but someone who serves his people." These words stayed with Mandela all his life. When he was just 9 years old, tragedy struck. His father passed away. This was a painful loss, but it marked a turning point in his life. His mother took him to live with Chief Jongintaba Dalindyebo, a royal leader of the Thembu people. The chief welcomed Mandela like a son. Now, for the first time, Mandela saw a life beyond his small village. He lived in the chief's palace, attended meetings, and observed leadership in action. At age 7, he started school. His teacher, Miss Mendengane, gave him the English name Nelson, a common practice at the time. Although Mandela didn't understand why he needed a new name, he accepted it. He became a hard-working student who loved English literature, geography, and especially African history. He once said, "Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world." This belief drove him to study harder and dream bigger. As Mandela grew older, he became more aware of the injustice around him. South Africa was ruled by apartheid, a system that separated black and white people. Black people couldn't vote, own land in many areas, or live in white neighborhoods. Mandela saw the unfairness everywhere. At age 16, during a traditional Xhosa ceremony, elders spoke of the duties of manhood and the suffering of their people under apartheid. This gave Mandela a deep sense of responsibility to fight for justice. When he was 19, the chief arranged a marriage for him, but Mandela had different dreams. He wanted to choose his path. So he ran away to the big city of Johannesburg. Johannesburg was full of life, but also full of struggle. Black people worked hard for very little and lived in poor areas. Mandela worked as a night watchman at a gold mine while continuing his education. He lived in a tiny, crowded room and often went hungry. But he never gave up. He enrolled at the University of Witwatersrand to study law. He was one of the few black students, and he faced discrimination. But this only made him stronger. He joined the African National Congress, the ANC, and began fighting for equal rights. He dreamed of a South Africa where everyone could live together in peace and equality. Mandela said, "It always seems impossible until it's done." In 1944, he married Evelyn Mays, a nurse who shared his dream of a better future, but his work with the ANC kept him away from home often. He said, "There is no passion to be found in settling for a life that is less than the one you are capable of living." In 1948, apartheid laws became even harsher. Mandela and his friends organized protests, strikes, and marches following the nonviolent teachings of Mahatma Gandhi. But the government responded with violence. Protesters were beaten, arrested, and even killed. Mandela himself was arrested many times, but he never gave up. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is inspiring others to move beyond it. In 1952, he and his friend Oliver Tambo opened the first black law firm in South Africa. They helped black citizens who were victims of apartheid. Then, in 1960, the Sharpeville massacre changed everything. Police shot and killed 69 peaceful protesters. After this, Mandela believed peaceful protest alone was not enough. He co-founded a secret armed group called Umkhonto we Sizwe, the Spear of the Nation. He became a wanted man. In disguise, he traveled across South Africa and to other countries for support. But in 1962, Mandela was caught. He was sentenced to life in prison. At his trial, he said, "I have cherished the ideal of a democratic and free society. It is an ideal for which I am prepared to die." Mandela spent 27 years in prison, most of them on Robben Island. He did hard labor, lived in a small cell, and had very few visitors. But he remained hopeful. He studied, reflected, and even learned Afrikaans to understand his enemies. He became a teacher and mentor to younger prisoners. Part of being optimistic is keeping one's head toward the sun and one's feet moving forward. Over the years, Mandela became a global symbol of resistance. Around the world, people protested apartheid and demanded his release. In 1990, Mandela was finally freed. He walked out of prison with a smile and said, "I stand here before you not as a prophet, but as a humble servant of the people." South Africa was at a crossroads. Many wanted revenge, but Mandela preached forgiveness. Resentment is like drinking poison and then hoping it will kill your enemies. In 1994, South Africa held its first democratic election. People of all races voted, many for the first time in their lives. Nelson Mandela was elected the first black president of South Africa. Never, never, and never again shall it be that this beautiful land will experience the oppression of one by another. As president, Mandela worked to unite the nation. One of his most powerful moments was during the 1995 Rugby World Cup. He wore the jersey of South Africa's mostly white rugby team and supported them. This act showed that unity was possible. The film Invictus tells this story, named after a poem Mandela loved. "I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul." After one term, Mandela stepped down, proving that true leaders know when to let go. In his later years, Mandela continued to fight, not with weapons, but with words. He spoke for peace, education, and health, especially against poverty and HIV/AIDS. On December 5, 2013, Nelson Mandela passed away at the age of 95. The world mourned. Millions remembered the man who stood for peace, hope, and equality. His story is proof that greatness is not something you're born with. It's something you build through hard work, belief, and love. He taught us that even in the darkest times, we can choose the light. I never lose. I either win or learn. So remember this: no matter where you come from, no matter what you face, you can make a difference. You don't need to be famous or powerful. Every kind act, Every time you stand for what is right, it matters. Nelson Mandela's life is a story for everyone. When you feel like giving up, remember his struggle and how he never stopped fighting. Your dreams are worth it. You have what it takes. The greatest glory in living lies not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. This is the end of our story, but Mandela's legacy lives on in all of us. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If you feel inspired, share Mandela's story with others. Together, we can carry forward his message of hope, unity, and freedom. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more powerful stories like this.